Hey guys, welcome back. Hi guys, and yes, welcome back to the channel. This is me last week with my $100 haul. As you know, when I'm out grocery shopping, I'm looking for the best deals on the ingredients so I can take them home and then process them into food for my family to eat. The cost of our groceries are so high because we are paying for factories and processing plants. You could call them the middleman. They take the ingredients and then they turn it into something that we can eat. Here at Back to Basics, I'm about cutting out that middleman. When you cut him out of the process, the cost of the food goes way, way down. This week, I want to take a moment and go through some of the items that I bought and show you how I processed them in order to cut the cost and bring in more food for less dollar. I spent $84 on ingredients and I was able to create $412 worth of prepared food. Yep, that's right, you guys. $412 is what this food would have cost me if I had bought it already prepared from the grocery store. But not only are we saving big money, it's also a win-win because when you create the food yourself, it's all natural. There's no additives. There's none of those ingredients that, are really not good for us and are quite possibly making us sick. So it's a total win-win. So let's take a quick look at what I made this week, how I processed it, and with a little work, you can process it too. The first thing on the agenda is this cabbage. This cost me $9 for 2 heads of cabbage. I bought 3 packages of this pork. It turned out to be about $7 a package. I had a lot of ingredients already at home. The tomato juice, the ground beef, the rice, and the sauerkraut. If you want to see how I made these cabbage rolls, the link to that video will be in the description. But overall, the cost of making these cabbage rolls, including the ingredients I had at home, was only $47. Costco was selling pre-made cabbage rolls, and the cost was according to weight, but basically they were $30 for 6 cabbage rolls. I ended up making 78 cabbage rolls. Mine were smaller than Costco's, but I packaged them in pans the same size as the Costco pan, and that gave me 8 pans overall. I had more than 6 in each pan, but it came out to 8 pans. If I would have bought 8 pans of cabbage rolls from Costco, it would have been $240. Wow. Instead, now I have 8 pans of cabbage rolls in the freezer, and it was only $47. Not only a huge savings, but now it's an easy grab for future dinners. Cutting out the middleman in this process saved us $193. Okay, guys, let's see what's next on the agenda. I was able to pick up an 11-pound turkey for only $17. I never miss an opportunity to buy these big birds when they come on sale because that is a lot of meat for very little money. I brought him home and I immediately set about to processing him. The grocery store had a huge refrigerator just full of already processed turkey for ridiculous amounts of money. You can see here we have the cost of $7.49 for 200 grams. That is 200 grams is less than half a pound. At this price, you are paying $15 a pound for chunks of turkey. That is just totally absurd, just because someone cooked it for you. At one time, maybe factories came into play for convenience and maybe money was more easily come by than time, perhaps. But I think we've come to a place now that we rely on these factories when we could and should do it ourselves. We may have just forgotten how. Again, guys, the link to the video on how I prepared the turkey will be in the description. So if you want to go back and see how you can prepare a turkey, just go to that link and you'll see. I ended up with 1,800 grams of diced turkey. So that comes to, at $15 a pound, it comes to $67.41. Plus, that giant breast you see there on the screen, I saved that for dinner. So that, at the absurd price of $15 a pound, that breast was another $25. So I ended up getting $92.41 worth of turkey meat off of that $17 turkey. And of course, that's based on $15 a pound, which if you were buying it out of the cooler at 200 grams, what you're paying for. But just wait, guys. I'm not done with this turkey yet. There is more food to be processed off this turkey. Here I am. I've taken all the bones and all the sinew and all the fat and all the skin and all the parts of the turkey that nobody wants to eat, and I've put them in my crock pot, and I've simmered them and boiled them down into a broth. And now I'm about to take all this food and I'm about to make a turkey soup with it. With a few carrots, onions, and celery, and a few spices, I add them to the stock pot, and I begin the process of making a soup. Making a noodle dumpling is what adds the substance to this soup because it's basically broth and very little meat, but we have all the good nutrients and juices from the turkey, so it's just delicious. Link will be in the description below, guys. I take the soup and we add it to 13 little jars, 13 pint-sized jars. So based off what a can of chunky chicken noodles, Campbell's noodle soup is, which is roughly $3 a can, what we've done is we've put $39 worth of product on the shelf at $3 a can. And this is what one would call practically almost as free as it can be because we're using the leftover bits of the turkey that nobody wants. So that's $39 of really free food. Kidney beans, $3.79 for a bag. Almost a kilogram pound. Almost a kilogram, so that's almost 2 pounds. Canning dried beans is probably one of the easiest food processing things going, but you do need a pressure canner to do this job. This here is the pressure canner. I call it my little factory because with this machine I can do just about what anything a factory can do it. Anything they can or bottle or anything they do that's on the shelf, you can too do with the pressure canner. So it is well worth the investment, guys. It's a little pricey, but if you save your pennies or you ask for it for a gift, it will pay for itself 1,000,000 times over. So if you don't have a pressure canner, try to do whatever you can to get yourself one. I ended up with 10 jars of canned kidney beans for basically the price of 2 jars. The bag was $3.79 and the cost of a kidney bean is anywhere from $1.50 to $5.49 depending on how picky you are about your kidney bean. So basically for the cost of 2 cans of kidney beans, I did 10 kidney beans. So that's 8 free jars. That's how your pressure canner pays for itself. If you want to see how I pressure can these kidney beans, the link to that video is in the description. Our very last project from our grocery haul is going to be meatballs. We bought 3 packages of that ground pork. We used 1 package for the cabbage rolls, and I'm going to use the other 2 packages to make meatballs. I have in front of me here bits of stale buns that I had in the freezer that I pulled out to do this. You should never let any of your old bread go to waste. There's so many things that you could do with it that is going to put a product on your shelf, like breadcrumbs. And so you should never miss the opportunity to get that for free instead of having to go down to the store to buy it. So I'm going to grind up these breadcrumbs. And I'm going to end up with about 6 cups of breadcrumbs. And I'm only going to use 1.5 cups for this recipe. So the rest of those breadcrumbs are going on my shelf to use for other things like, like Parmesan chicken or meatloaf or all the million other things that you use breadcrumbs for. And the recipe and the tutorial for these meatballs will be found in the description below if you want to go back and you want to make yourself some meatballs. Anyway, I ended up with about 110 meatballs for $14. And as I mentioned in the video when I did this, meatballs are actually one of the cheaper things that you can find out there. I mean, they're not necessarily good, or even meat products, most of it. Sometimes you wonder if it's a little bit of sawdust. But if you were looking for, a real cheaper thing to eat, meatballs is often that thing. But they also can be expensive if you're buying real actual meatballs in packages. They can be quite pricey. So having really good meatballs for basically $14, that is a good savings. And it's also, like we said, a way better way to eat. And of course, I take our meatballs one step further. I just don't make the meatballs and freeze them, but I make them into prepared meals. And that's where you really make the savings, is when you prepare the meals yourself. You don't buy the sauces off of the shelf. You don't buy meatballs already in a sauce. Because if you do that, you're paying that factory to put that sauce in there, and then the price usually triples. Here I am dividing up my meatballs, and I'm creating the sauce to go in them, and I'm putting them in these freezer bags, and I'm going to put them in the freezer. I put 4 baggies of meatballs into the freezer, and I put the cost of these baggies prepared with sauce and everything at $15 a bag. So 4 bags at $15 a bag is $60 and we have $14 worth of meat in here. This is 100% where you save all your money. You have to stop allowing these guys to process your food for you, to make your sauces for you, to pre-cook your meals for you. It's a little bit of work to do this, but it's rewarding, it's practical, and when life is getting tough or money gets tight, these are the skills that we really need to know. All right, so that's the end of this journey where we basically took $84 and turned it into $451.41 worth of store-bought product. That's how much money I saved myself in grocery shopping. So if this is something that's new to you, I don't think you should be too intimidated by it, but I think that you should maybe pick something and just start. Start with the little things like breadcrumbs. They're very easy. You just have to start somewhere. So let's do a little recap here. We saved $367.41. I'm going to put up here on the screen the, estimated cost of everything. And there you have it, guys. This is how you save money. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. God bless and have a good day. And we'll see you next time on the Catholic Homestead.